Hi, I am Fred from therequirementsengineer.com. In this video, I show you how to embed an IFrame Draw.io diagram, and you will learn the exact workflow in Draw.io. And you will learn what the most important IFrame embed settings mean. If you like practical tutorials about modeling and requirements engineering, please subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss the next videos. What is Draw.io? Draw.io, also known as diagrams.net, is a flexible diagramming tool. I use it for flowcharts, process diagrams, system overviews, UML models, and many other visuals. It is easy to start with. However, it also offers powerful options for sharing and embedding diagrams. One of these options is embedding a diagram as an iframe. Why should I embed a Draw.io diagram as an iframe? An iframe allows me to display the diagram directly inside a web page, so visitors do not need to download a file. They can view the diagram directly where the explanation happens. In addition, an iframe can support interactive behavior. For example, viewers may zoom, open the diagram in a larger view, or work with layers depending on the settings I choose. This is useful for documentation, tutorials, knowledge bases, and business process descriptions. Instead of only describing a workflow with text, I can show the workflow visually. Therefore, the content becomes easier to understand. And for requirements engineering, this is especially helpful. Many topics become clearer when I explain them with a diagram. Now, let us get in. Step 1. I open my diagram. In this example, I already have a simple process diagram open. You can use the browser version or the desktop app. The workflow is very similar in both versions. The important point is this: the diagram should be ready before I generate the iframe embed code. Step 2. Now I go to the menu. I click File. Then I move to Embed. And here I select iframe. Now Draw.io opens the iframe dialog. This is where I define how the embedded diagram should behave on my website. Thus, in step 3, I configure the iframe. This dialog is important, so I do not just click through it blindly. Instead, I choose the options based on the use case. At the top, I can define the access mode. For example, I can allow viewers to make a copy of the diagram. This is useful when I want others to reuse the diagram structure. There is also an authorization option. This restricts access and requires permission. And there is an option for a public URL of the diagram. So before I choose this option, I should always check whether the diagram should really be publicly available. Next, I configure the dimensions. The width controls how wide the iframe appears on the page. In many cases, 100% is a good choice. That allows the diagram to adapt to the available page width. The height controls the vertical size, so I choose a height that gives the diagram enough space without creating too much empty area. Now I look at the link behavior. The links settings controls what happens when someone clicks a link inside the embedded diagram. Automatic uses the default behavior. Open in new window opens links in a new browser tab or window. Open in this window opens links in the current browser window. For most websites use cases, opening links in a new window can be a safe choice. This way, the visitor does not immediately leave the current page. Then I can define a border color. This is a small design detail. However, it can help the embedded diagram fit better into the visual style of the website. For example, I can use a color that matches my brand or page layout. Next, I check the transparent background option. If I enable it, the diagram can blend better into the surrounding page design. This can be useful when the website already has a clean background. However, I should test the results carefully. If the diagram contains light text or thin lines, transparency may reduce readability. Now I choose Appearance. Here I can select Light, Dark, or Automatic. Light uses a light visual style. Dark uses a dark visual style. Automatic lets Draw.io choose the appearance automatically. For a normal article or tutorial page, I usually start with light. But if the website uses a dark design, dark may look better. The next important option is Lightbox. If I enable Lightbox, viewers can open the embedded diagram in a larger overlay view. This is very helpful for detailed diagrams. For example, if I embed a complex process model, the normal page view may be too small. With Lightbox, the reader can open the diagram larger and inspect the details more comfortably. Inside the Lightbox settings, I can also configure the edit option. For example, I can allow viewers to make a copy. This does not mean that they edit my original diagram directly. Instead, they can create their own version. There is also a custom option. With this option, I can enter a custom URL manually. This is useful when I want to guide users to a specific page, file, or editing workflow. Now I look at layers and tags. If my diagram uses layers, I can enable layer support. This can be powerful for technical diagrams. For example, I may separate business steps, system steps, and comments into different layers. When I enable layers, viewers can work with this structure more easily. Tags can also be included. This can help when the diagram uses tags for filtering or organization. So, if I enable these options, only when they add value to the viewer. There is also the option Use Current Settings. If I enable it, the embed uses the current diagram settings from Draw.io. This is practical when I have already prepared the view exactly as I want it. For example, if the zoom level, page view, or layer state already looks right, I can keep those settings. Step 4. After I choose the settings, I click Create. Now Draw.io generates the IFrame code for me. This is the important point. I do not need to write the IFrame manually. Draw.io creates the code based on my configuration. Step 5. Now I copy the generated code. The code appears in a dialog. I click Copy. Now the IFrame code is in my clipboard. This means I can paste it into the place where I want to show the diagram. After copying, Draw.io confirms that the code was copied to the clipboard. I click OK. And now I can continue with my website or documentation page. Step 6. I embed the diagram in my website. For example, I can paste the IFrame code into a custom HTML block in WordPress. Or I can paste it into the HTML area of another website editor. The exact place depends on the system I use. However, the workflow stays the same. I generate the IFrame code in Draw.io, then I paste that code into my website. Now I open the page preview. Here I can see the embedded Draw.io diagram directly inside the page. At this point, I check 3 things. First, does the diagram have the right size? Second, are interactive options working as expected? And third, does the diagram look good in the page layout? So this is how I embed an IFrame diagram in Draw.io. Open your diagram in Draw.io, click File, click Embed, choose IFrame, configure access mode, dimensions, links, border, color, background, appearance, lightbox, edit options, layers, tags, and current settings. Click Create, copy the generated IFrame code, paste it into your website, and then test the result in the browser. If this video helped, please support the channel, like it, and subscribe for more Draw.io tutorials. Also tell me in the comments, do you use IFrame embedding mainly for documentation, process diagrams, or interactive website content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.